Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, the Confederation of the AES was formalized on Saturday, July 6, 2024, in Niamey, and the constitutive arc of the Federation was initiated by the eminent leaders of the three countries, that is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Dear Excellencies, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Colonel Assimi Goïta, and Brigadier General Abdourahmane Tiani. I listen every morning to all the international radios. I listen to the intervention of the citizens and I read the press. And out of this, I assure you that I often realize that some people do not even know what they are talking about. Because there is an international media campaign to put confusion in the minds of Africans and of the AES by saying that, yes, we are one family, we are living the family, and we will divide. But in the world of opinion, have you seen an important decision? That was not the decision of the few determined men who have a sense of history. None of the great leaders who have made history have sought total consensus of what they do, who choose what is interesting for the people at a given moment in history. And we take this bold step either by election. In the elections, you see a president. The president who comes, they compete and he wins. And it is his line which is imposed on everyone until the next elections. He did not say we put everyone together. But what is that? If you put everyone together, you will not do anything. Because in a society, opinions are contradictory. When one opinion prevails, it is the one who prevails until the people seeks to reject this line and follow another line. So, even for democratic leaders, this business of consensus of leaders, everyone together is not it. The big countries, if you look at them, at a certain stage in their history, leaders choose a path. They explain it to the people and they move forward. If through the election it doesn't work, we remove them. And if it's other voices, we find way to remove them. But they don't come and sit down to say they don't have the sentiment of everyone. They will never move forward. That doesn't exist. These countries where they invented the term equilibrium, because I know it was developed elsewhere and put in the mouth of some. But in their home, the climate is different. In their home, the leaders do what they have said to the people, with what people were not okay, until they succeeded or failed. And so, the leaders of the AES have made a choice in the name of their people. Our role is to explain it to our people, convince them on the correctness of our choice, and hope that history proves us right. And I am sure that we will be right. If history shows otherwise, the people will draw conclusions. That is why when I listen to all these speeches, I say to myself that we still need to give some clarifications to each other. The Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger leaders did not just give up like that and left the barks to come and say they are in power. But in Mali, we had no country. 80% of our country was occupied by terrorists. It is only in the capital that we can travel, hold meetings, make carnivals, but there was nothing. Since 2014, I have not been able to go to my village. There are party leaders who are asking for elections, but they cannot go to their homes to hold elections. But the people say that enough is enough. They demonstrated for months, but the Malian army came to deliver the Mali people. So the Malian soldiers did not get up, leave the fronts to come and take power. That is in Mali. In Burkina Faso, it is another reality. There is no democratic system that is working. They made elections. There was a president who was there, the assembly that was functioning, but still there was insecurity. The citizens did not leave, and they finally revolted. So it is the results of the military insurrections that put an end to what they call a democratic regime. In Niger, it is the most striking illustration that it was a president who told his armies not to fight, that they are too weak, and your adversaries are stronger than you. But in times of war, that is intelligence with the enemy, that was Niger. People were killed in their thousands. We can't even demonstrate. Remember when Balkan left, there are some Nigerians who wanted to say no, but the man who led the protest was killed, was burned in his car, and no one talks about it until today. They terrorized Nigerians. They were forced to be confined at home. If you stick your head out, we smash it. We continue to kill the soldiers. The population was in disarray. So the Niger military did not rise up overnight to come to power. It was to deliver these people who no longer speak, who no longer act. And therefore, our presidents, who are democratically elected in elections, with often shameful percentages, but they are the product of the popular, voluntary suffering of their people and their demands. That is why, on July 7, 2024, on 6 July, the foundation was established for the building of the AES Confederation. We saw on July 7 the meetings of ECOWAS, which have on its agenda and other things the questions of withdrawal of these institutions from the three countries constituting the AES Confederation. And at the end of this summit, ECOWAS took a certain decisions on this subject. First, they noted that the AES Confederation confirmed the definitive withdrawal of the three countries from ECOWAS. The ECOWAS, in response, did not ask themselves why they left. They started with the old method of sanctions of the states, and it threatened sanctions. But they did that against Mali and it failed. We did it against Burkina Faso and it failed. We did that against Niger and it failed. But why don't human beings change? One characteristic is their ability to learn lessons for what happened. How can an organization of peoples that say, I don't think it's the people's leaders not learn a lessons of what happened? At least we had to sit down and say, we did that against Mali. What was the result? So what do we do now? But no, we comes with the same method of sanctions, threat, punishment, and threats of punishment against our country. And the ridiculous thing is that the representative of African Union, who is the civil servant on call, pretends and go to assessment even on the choice of the peoples of the three countries. A civil servant on that matter. We can dismiss him at any time. He is not elected. He will condemn Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, but it is not the first time. You remember when there was change of regime in Mali, it was an ECOWAS civil servant who held the conference of head of states, who decided to sanction Mali. But why don't Africans learn lessons from the slightest things they have held? And in this organization, it is very clear that it is the conference of the head of states that made the decisions. But why does the civil servants not take the decisions? This is the problems of Africans. As soon as someone is in the position of responsibility, he believes that he will do what he wants. But we must do what the law says. So, what these African Union officials did is not the first time. Fortunately, on the same day, our valiant and brilliant foreign affairs ministers punch in so much that we don't even talk about it so much. I don't even know where he is now. Because we asked the African Union to learn lessons. Because this gentleman came to interfere in what does not concern him. He went beyond his missions. He does not have a mission to give an assessment of political decisions of sovereign people. People have the impression of forgetting to remember that. Ladies and gentlemen, the AES Confederation It is the result of the simultaneously withdrawal of 3 countries from ECOWAS after the declaration of January 28, 2024, which is itself the product of the maturation. Because in reality, these declarations follow evidence that we have that a certain countries were instrumentally being used to attack Niger, to overthrow the established power, and to institute puppets. That was what was happening. They have given themselves a very little time, but we got ahead of ourselves. Mali, immediately, with our brothers and friends from Burkina Faso, it was played in Niger. We decided to leave this organization where they no longer respect the law. Because it was the foreigners who comes to give money to Africans to suffocate staff and kill other Africans in hospitals. You remember that the G5 Sahel has been asking for 2 billion to fight against terrorism for so many years. We have never found it, and here is the famous ECOWAS standby force that has been waiting since 2012 because it was created or rather announced on the occasion of the inauguration of President Macky Sall in 2012. The standby force that they have set in that moment was 5,000 men. But in this meeting, the French Minister of Foreign Affairs emerged giving a lecture to tell the president that our 5,000 men are too much compared to just 500 bandits in the north of Mali. What was his business? That we take, as I can say, a hammer, or a fan, or a paste to crush a parasitic fly. That was his business. And since 2012, this standby force has still been waiting. And it is the other day that we set out 3 billion to go attack Niger. 3 billion which comes from abroad. So foreigners move money and finance so that we can put a knife in the hands of African who is going to stab his brother. But we have taught ourselves to read history. Because the difference between man and other living being is those who learn their lessons and analyze them. A great philosopher once said that he who do not learn the lesson of history, who do not know history, is doomed to repeat it. In recent years, we look at what has happened to us, that the one who cannot pull the ground. You have a standby forces who have been waiting since 2012. And you cannot learn a lesson to say this standby force is worthless. They cannot do anything. You can come to do the baga against Niger, that this waiting force is going to wake up. And someone will give you 3 billion. But we have said it very clearly to those warmongers. We have warned them. I used to joke, that is not how we spoke, of course. But I used to joke by saying that we have been very clear. Whoever touched the bedside of Niger, we will shave his head. Because after Niger, it is Burkina Faso. After Burkina Faso, it is Mali. We know what they are doing. They are strategizing by making people believe that it is Niger. Because they believe in Niger is weaker. As everyone has lost Mali, we have chased them out of our home. So they want to surround us. And so we got together. We told them, whoever touches Niger will see. What do? They look at each other. This force has continued to wait, and until now, it is waiting, and then one day, in July 30th, they will meet. When the waiting force are ready, they will come and fall on Niger. And on the 31st, we made a joint declaration. To be very clear, it was there that we decided that whoever hits Burkina, rather Niger this time, that it is Niger this time, he hits our 3 countries. The brothers join hands to face adversity and whoever let themselves to be manipulated by foreign forces, because we forget this part of history. People think that as immigrator Abdulrahman Chiani and Traore meet in Niger, they decided that we get out, but then there is a process. So on July 30th, they decided that they will fall on Niger. And on July 31st, we told them that if you fall on Niger, we consider it as an act of aggression against all our countries. And already on September 23rd, you remember, the call at the podium of the United Nations 78 sessions when the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Niger was prevented from returning to speak. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mali took charge, and he spoke on behalf of our two countries. He spoke brilliantly on behalf of Mali and Niger. Many seems to forget that. Because on September 7, I wanted to remind you, there was an attack in Timbuktu market, and several hundred died. Do you know that ECOWAS held a summit afterward? They didn't even take into account even a simple letter of condolence to the president of Mali, who our country has opposed by the United Nations. So that means the Malians can die, and it's not their business. But we have common sense. And if we don't take yourself seriously, we defend ourselves. Hundreds of Malians died. When ECOWAS meet, they don't even take into account of this. At the UN, they don't even pay attention to this. How can you understand these behaviors? We can't continue to accept things like this. But he said that at this moment, we have a plan to take Kidal. We took Anefis. We took Kidal. And we chased away all these evil forces that were among us, just deceiving us. Takuba, G5 Sahel, Balkan, MINUSMA. What else do I know? EUTM and CAP, who came to train our militaries, but do not give bullets to the military, so they do not have weapons. Are they not the same ones who say they will give weapons to fall on Niger? Are they not the same ones who send instructors to certain Eastern European countries with weapons? But people think that we do not think, but we compare everything on every day that God made. And we realize that our destinies must be taken into our hands by us and by our people, and no one else will do it. Because when you have a beheaded state of people who have decided to be agents of the execution of political decisions of non-African countries, we cannot continue to accept this. And ladies and gentlemen, on November 14, we took Kidal. After 13 years of occupation, ECOWAS said nothing. For them, it was a non-event. And yet, for 13 years, the Malian state was forgotten. People have been chased out of Kidal. And meanwhile, when the forces arrived in Kidal, they told us, you remember the famous speech of François Hollande. He said that the Sabre force was going to Mali to first of all to destroy the terrorists. Secondly, to impose the authorities of the state in the entire territory. Thirdly, to apply the resolution of the United Nations. But what did we say? Since 2018, terrorism that was confined in the north of Mali have taken 80% of Mali. Terrorism that was not in Burkina Faso and Niger. We had presidents who thought by pushing themselves at the service of others against Mali that their powers will last has spread to these countries. Terrorism went and hit hard in Big Bassam. Terrorism left since 2019 and have settled in the north of Benin and Togo. The first version was a lie because with Africans the problem is the Europeans have introduced a mentality and Africans have two behaviors. They caress him towards a direction to wait to flatter him in front of people like a big baby. And when they are alone, they threaten him so that he accepts everything. These are the two methods that they use. That is, in front of the camera, they are friends and colleagues When he enters into a room, they threaten him, and finally they always got what they want. But that cannot work with us. We do not want to be complimented. We want to solve our problems. And so, in 10 years, terrorism has expanded. When you are an authority of states in the north of Mali, I repeat these things so that Africans and Malians can understand. But who prevented the Malian states from going to Kidder? It was the French state. Our transition president have requested for air support intelligence. There was never any mention of French military. But what did they do? They prevented us from going to Kidder after they brought 5,000 soldiers from certain African countries with a budget of 1 billion CFA franc per day. Within 13 years, they exploit gold, and they bring millions of citizens from other African countries. In Kidal, in Gao, the gold, where the gold go, nobody knows. But there is a small part that comes to feed the oligarchs in Bamako, composed of politicians, judges, soldiers, and all those who have influence to keep us in slavery. Until the day God delivers the Malian people, they were chased away. Do you know there are people who make 96 million francs CFA per month in gold mining? Those they put at their service. That is the small amount that was given to these valets, but we don't even know where the rest went. That is why there are countries who does not even produce gold, but they have millions of tons of gold in their treasury. But we read all of that. No road, no rails. Within 10 years in the north, all the population left. All those who can do businesses, businessmen, assassinated to create a vacuum and denigrated the military. I listened to generals making mockery of our military, and then there are politicians who follow through in their footsteps. There are politicians who say, in Mali there's no military, they are only good in parading coups. When you shoot, they run. And I hear generals saying, no, even the vehicles we give them, they sell it, they remove the engines, they remove the tires, to discourage the Malians to bring to their home and to cultivate in us the rejection of the military. Fortunately, as I say, our people have been delivered. Our army have given us back our dignity and our honor. But they are the same soldiers, the same terrorists who were getting stronger. Why did we take Anefis? Why did we take Bell? Why did we take Kidder? Because there is an awareness. That is where you would have understand me. For months, I have been doing what have been entrusted to us by the president. We speak to awaken conscience. Because when a soldier shoots, he kills a person. But when you speak, it is thousands of people who understand. And that is what we are doing. Free the Malians, love the armies, respect the militaries, satisfy them. That is what we are doing. And in the AES confederations, we are dealing with the final blow of contradictions. They are the ones who created the conditions for the withdrawal of the AES countries, and they will reunite. Can you imagine that in ECOWAS, people don't pay their contribution? It is the European Union that pays their contribution, and that is what completes their budget. Even imagine in the ECOWAS headquarters, there are soldiers, colonels, and senior European officers who had offices in the headquarters of the ECOWAS building to manipulate. Have you seen the last summit? It's a minister of another country who comes. You have seen the photos, who give instruction with his fingers up to the president of the commission, like a student who was surprised in the toilet. They make it with their head down. President of ECOWAS Commission, a deputy minister of our country, and it is this gentleman that comes to threaten us. But they don't know the Malians. We are a people of warriors. We sent away the French. And all the presidents that have attacked Mali in Africa, they have ended badly. And that is why I say to everybody, leave us in peace. We will solve our problems, solve your problems. All the states, all the leaders who will attack Mali, who use Mali as a train to stay in power, God will punish him. I can name some, but for diplomatic reason, I don't want to say anything. For those who are relentless against us, what awaits them? We are not going to put foreign bases in our country. Since President Madibo Keita, he chased away foreign bases. Musa Traore sent them away. Our Tete came. They did everything. They said he is a man that could be manipulated. Our Tete refused. When they installed the base, as they call it, in Burkina Faso in 2019, I don't know, they have a secret name, a secret base. Like today, they hide it from the population and the media. This basis remains until recently that the power he brought left the base for. During that period, they wanted to install a base in Mali. Artete said no. The Malian army will never accept that, so it is in our DNA. What did they do? They instrumentally used terrorists to oblige our transition president to call on them. But even there, we made new ones. He said he wants air support and intelligence. He never asked them to come and settle with us, but they came. Do you know even this letter that they wrote to our president? Because it was the ambassador who went back and forth and had them sign. When we looked for it, they were known in the archives of Mali. To find it, we went to the website of their institution. That is where we saw the copy of the president letter from the interim president of Mali who calls for Operation Saver. But do you think that can continue? Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso have decided that we are not going to continue doing things like the past. That is why you see the AES, it is a light organization. We have not created a bureaucracy that we are going to put agents that will be corrupted. It is in a rotating mode. There is no structure that we are going to place chairs to make a fight, to put cousins, parents, and cronies to sell Africa. But in their home there, I said that ECOWAS, but have you ever seen a summit of the European Union or that country that Africans are in the hall? But those people in all the meetings, it is the people of other countries that are in the hall. They manipulate them at the corner. They manipulate the militaries we send there. In reality, they say they are at the service of the country. But otherwise, what will the military of the European Union come and be doing in ECOWAS building? What are they coming to do there? We know what they are doing. We know their name. I don't want to say it for the reasons that you all know. We know the country they came from, the people of whom they are in contact, and here and there. We know it. But people have to stop. Africa needs to learn a lesson of what is coming here and there. You know, the controversy there is today between one president of the AES and a certain country. In relation to one president of the AES, and Niger is saying to a certain country, in relation to the secret bases there, no one have ever recognized them. Have you ever heard a country say, yes, I recognize that there are secret bases in my country? Generally, when surprised and put in the back, they have two attitudes. Either they keep quiet, waiting for the storm to pass, or they get up very loudly, making noise to say, your foreign journalists can come and investigate. But those who say foreign journalists can investigate the other day, hide. Yes, I forgot, the base in Burkina was base Sable in 2019. They hide that even from the Burkina Bay people. It was a secret base. They wanted to put it in Mali. Atete refused. The president who accepted to play their game, they allow him to stay in power. But after the Burkina Bay people wake up and ask them to leave, we made them leave the secret bases. That is why they are called secret. We never recognize them. It's on this base that they plan to fall on Niger and to overthrow the regime. That is why in January 28, we met and say we are leaving this evil organization. Why don't we know these texts to oppress us? But we forgot these aspects. As if the president took a plane, went to Niamey and said, okay, credit AES. All those who say, but what will become of us? But our people existed before ECOWAS. It reminds me exactly when we're chasing MINISMA out of here. They said, what will become of the Malians who live there? But this Mali existed before ECOWAS. Truly, I wanted to say, all this must make Africans to understand. Our destiny must depend exclusively on our people and our leaders. And I end with a final warning. I said it and I repeat it, and I don't want to swear, but I am sure all the countries, all the leaders, whether Africans or elsewhere, who engage in plots of killing our people will pay. God's agenda is different with that of men. There are some who will lose the election and will flee the next day. We saw it here. The next day they will flee. Yet they did everything. Imprisoned 1,000 of people. Killed 60 people. Imprisoned lawyers. Violated all the laws in order to eliminate political adversary. And they say it is democracy. Democracy is the law. When we use all that, that is the numbers. If it was in a military regime, which they feel bad about, they were suddenly saying that it was a military dictatorship. We are accused of killing the population, but are those who die in that country not citizens? Then we say the president is Democrat. Oh, we make a coup d'etat in Niger. They said we should make a defense meeting in Paris. And a few days later, there's a coup d'etat in another African country. They say no, we are going to follow what is happening there. And then a few days later, the Minister of Foreign Affairs at the European Union, Joseph Borrell, he brings together the Ministers of Defense and Foreign Affairs of the European Union and all the departments in Spain. And he said, watch out, in Africa, we have interests, we must try to understand them. I said, really? You wake up at 2 o'clock. We have been surprised since 6 o'clock. You came to teach us now. Well, Africans are not dumb. It's time that we understand this, that the people understand this. We will never accept this. In any case, the Malian people will never accept it. I also reminded the French Deputy Foreign Minister. In 2021, after our return from the United Nations, he came to baga me in my hotel. When he finished his baga, I said, go ahead and revise your history. There are countries that your great-grandparents colonized in 6 months or in 1 year. But to colonize the current Malian territory, your great-grandparents had to endure 38 years of war. Between 1878 in Sabusiri to 1916 in Menaka, so 38 years of war, and during the 70 years of colonization. When it was not the Chamashek, it was the Soer, it was the Pure, it was the Dogon, it was the Miyanka, it was the Bobo, it was the Senofo. The Sarakoli never had peace. It is therefore said, do not dare the wrong people. We will resist the suggestion. Secondly, you do not have the leaders that you were used to, that you pat on their shoulders and flatter them in front of their people, and then you go and threaten them in the room. No one threatens us except God and our people. These two alone that we call. Assuming Greater does not need your visas. He does not have an account with you. We do not need your visas. We do not have an account with you. So your visas are there. If you ban him, he is quite democratically elected. When we say we have cut the visa, they are angry. These are not the people that are leading the country today. So I told him to go and review his history lessons. He told me yes, that the Russians, they saw them in July. The Russians will do nothing in Mali. I said, you are late. I saw our Minister of Foreign Affairs talking with the Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs in September So you spoke in July to tell them to go and not to do anything in Mali. But we spoke with them in September and they say they will respect all their commitments. I said, so it is like that. It lapsed in September. So just go back into your office and look for another leader to threaten him. That was done the day after September 24. And that is why the president continues. So there is nothing new under the sun. It is the process of preserving the dignity of our people that led to the creation of the AES. It is not the wings of 3 people only. It is elsewhere that they are wings. Because if we ask these peoples, the peoples will never accept it. I gave you the example. Some have thought that the terrorists were only in Mali. They wanted to make their country a real base. In Burkina, in 2013 and 2014, they did not know that it was going to happen to them. In Niger, it was the same thing. Terrorism has arrived in the north of Benin since 2019. And if people continue to hide these bases to attack the AES countries, not only will it not succeed, but as I said, any country that is going to attack Mali, I do not know the others, it will end badly. You must, therefore, leave us in peace. Let everyone do what they want at their home, and let no one comes and interfere in our internal affairs. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are things that I wanted to explain so that everyone hears and everyone understands. I have written since 2019 the bankruptcy of the Malian state, all the prices of official positions in French institutions, in the Senate, in the Assembly, and in the government. People who said that Mali must be divided. I published it in 2019. They said I am a subversive with Baga Baga. That's what they do. I told you, when they see you, they trust me when there are 2 of you. When they are people, they really caress. You are a friend, a friendly country. That doesn't work with us. We look at the facts. According to Lenin and Russians, we said that means that the facts are stubborn. They are people who repeat them. They don't even know who it comes from. We look at the facts. The compliments that they give to Africans, that they try to take like big babies, that doesn't work with us. Here are the messages, ladies and gentlemen, that I wanted to deliver to you and to tell you that Malians are counting on you. The reform of the justice system is at the same time just like what the army are doing, because the military has accomplished more than 80% of their work, but the reform of the judicial society is just beginning. You saw the General State meeting has not finished being held. The people expect everything from you, because force and justice is what will make a society. In a country, the citizens have to be scared of the forces of the state and be ashamed of the sanctions of justice. On this, ladies and gentlemen, I solemnly declare the ceremony open. The ceremony of the notary state profession of Mali. Thank you very much. Africa, wake up. Africa, rise up. Africa without borders. Africa, continental free trade area. The time is now. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.